2, 1, go.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
I welcome you to the Poetry Slam Masterclass that
Oh.
we're in. And I will be speaking about emotion in poetry, specifically a song by someone called Levi the Poet. Alright, we all have things we identify with based on our emotion. Music, preaching, books, movies, our fellow peers, the list could expand forever. Mainly because there are countless things we can identify with. But why is it that when we're sad, we mainly choose to find something of the same type of emotion? Why does sometimes someone else's emotions, whom we have never met in music and everything, affect us so much that our emotions can change? For this speech, I will be expanding upon emotions used in poetry, in particular a track I will share with you by someone named Levi the Poet. What is music exactly? The flow of the piece, the beat of the drum, the melody of the voices, all intertwined creates a living art where each person reacts to it differently and the same. In fact, music is oftentimes used therapeutically in this day and age around the world, improving people's emotions and well-being. Give me a sec. Music also has deep roots in history, even throughout the Bible. Studies show that around 7% of the Old Testament is focused on worshiping God to a degree, with music being referenced through the book of Psalms, Moses and David's writings, the Songs of Solomon. It seems as though worship and music seem to go hand in hand. But I'll reiterate. Why do we enjoy and identify with another's emotions? Seems that the sadder someone else's art may seem, the more we enjoy it. In actuality, we aren't usually directly affected by a composer's sadness, but as humans we empathize, as we are afraid of opening our problems and emotions to others we know. So we use music as a way of coping and then identifying with something. Wow. Words hold power, and identifying with someone else without context gives us a canvas on where we can project our emotion without trying to hide something. This is why relationships can be dependent on the way each person speaks, sometimes why an unhealthy relationship can last so long. Words have power in every single way. Our tongue is a double-edged sword with the ability to both heal and hurt. Poetry stems from this understanding. Words with no context, giving context to a lyrical painting that draws your mind out. I'm going to play the snippet of this song. Levi the Poet is a Christian spoken word artist and who uses personal testimony and fictional storytelling in his works. Never afraid to be controversial, the topics in his songs can speak of faith, doubt, addiction, mental illness, and everything in between. I'll play the start of this song. It's very full on. All right.
Should we dance for us?
No, but I'll cut it. I'll stand over here. It's very full on.
I can't remember when you became a hypothetical. I still talk to the sky and the black backs of my eyelids, but it's been some time since your son transitioned from person to proposition. I keep conjuring his name up over my wife at night like a seance. The ghost still calms her nerves, so I keep praying while I wonder what I'll say when I run out of hat tricks and smoke bombs. I keep disappearing behind the distractions. We both know how well I procrastinate, so the night that I finally began to fear whether or not I lost my faith, I thought that it was too late.
Leave it there. It's very full on, and the songs are and they go for a long time. They can start as very dark and doubting and end happy. They can start happy and end doubt. It's the way that a poet articulates his words.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So. The piece I played, Descent, specifically, many of the topics are legitimate questions, not words to make a track flow, but to Levi are things he's going or has gone through, creating truth in performance. I'll be saying a couple lines from the whole thing. I'm not going to play it because it'll take too long to find it. All right. So here. What began in the spirit, I fleshed out in analytics and mimicked his voice until I wasn't sure I could actually hear it. The comparisons were subtle pivots compared to more pivotal problems, but that was the problem, and the comparisons didn't solve them. Reading this, listening to me say this, we can distinguish the external facts that are placed down at first. The need to feel what was felt once when being in a relationship with God, and slowly over time doing the same thing over and over again until it becomes an act. What you heard just then, now I can't remember when you became a hypothetical. I still talk to the sky in the black back of my eyelids, but it's been some time since your son transitioned from person to proposition. The night that I finally began to fear whether or not I'd lost my faith, I thought it was too late. These statements seem to stem from a struggle of faith. Levi repeats throughout the track of his earlier connection with God, not necessarily speaking on doubting, but focusing on the connection he was losing. Although it seems as though he is speaking matter-of-factly, depending on who is listening, they would be able to interpret these statements in different contexts. Something they have been in, something they are experiencing, or something that could be. Genesis gives some understanding to this. Creation of man, we are made in the image of God, where we reflect compassion for others as if it's our own, because we are one. This is why words hold more meaning than we can conceive. At the very end of the track, he ends with this: I have not forgotten your voice, though, and the only thing it speaks of is love. And I recognize it as real because that word never comes to me from me. So where is the lullaby that our doctrine sang? Where is the house on the rock when even the rock couldn't withstand the rain? What does it mean? It's not that I don't believe, it's just that sometimes faith feels more like cataracts than clarity. In an interview earlier this year, Levi speaks on interpretation. And he said, that's something I love about art, giving others the freedom to interpret it as they will. And often more than that, oftentimes others even help you figure it out. Yeah. If you've read or listened to any of my work, then you know how much I love leaving the why out. But I also love learning what exactly. I'm writing about for more objective listeners who can help me interpret my own work. As weird as that may seem, it can happen in much the same way as one's perspective of his or her own work and what it meant to them then and what it means now is capable of changing over time. In conclusion, Levi the poet gives us a clear example of work that has much meaning and why we identify so much with the works of others we do not know. The words spoken from someone else gives us a feeling of understanding that someone else has been going or is going through the same things we're experiencing. Write your own poems, speak your own life so that we may interpret together.
Wow, well done.